Hey everybody, just getting you ready for your CBA tomorrow. I'm going to blow through some of these questions. I'm not going to hit everything. I'm not going to finish all of them. At some points I'm just going to leave it to where you could finish up yourself. Okay? So for example here with this first one, number one, I talked about a day in class, equivalent to the expression. So here's the expression you're given. Which of these below is equivalent to that? What's being meant here is that if you were to do the operations for each of these parts, so for instance here, multiplying with 4, so plus 12d plus 20. Okay, well the 20 and the 20 here match up. 6 plus 12 is 18. Okay, so and that tells me that this first one is a match for that expression. If I were to try that same thing with one of these others, I'm just going to do the very next one, number 2, real quick, just so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, we did the same thing with number 2, distribute a negative, so that's a positive 18d, that's correct. Distribute the negative, okay, so minus 20. That is not correct, that does not match the original, so that would not be correct. So your answer is going to at least have the first option. Number 2, I'm just going to do the distribution and I'll let you guys finish up with combining the like terms. Here, so just looking at it piece by piece, 3x times 4 thirds y. Okay, numbers, 3 times 4 thirds. Again, you can just calculate that using your calculator, you get 4. X times y, and this was the part that I had the most questions about in class. X times y is just x, y. Now there are 2 variables here instead of just 1 here and 1 here. Continuing the distribution. 3x times negative 2. Okay, 3 and negative 2, it's negative 6x. Done. Distributing here. X times 4y. Well, there's no number, so it's just going to be 4. There's an x, so there's an x. This had a y in it already, so there's a y. See, so there's a second term that's got xy. Continue distributing. X times 1, that's just going to be 1x. Now it's a negative 1/2 times 2. And again, there's a y, there's an x. Both of those are going to be here. The negative 1/2 and the 2, half of 2 is 1, so a negative 1 xy. Distribute negative 1/2 times 6. Sorry, it's supposed to be a y. I'm carrying the y in there just so that, just because that's left over, that y travels with that 1/2 whenever it's distributing. So a negative, so it's minus a half of 6 is 3. Okay, now from here you would just combine your like terms. So for instance, each of these has an x and a y. So those would all combine together. 6 and 1, those are both x, so those will combine together. And the 3 is just left by itself. So you guys can finish it from there. I'll get you started solving the equation here. First is going to be the distribution. This, at a certain point, should just become, you know how to do distribution. It's going to be here for the rest of the time that you're in algebra. It's something that you're just going to have to get used to, okay? Multiply 6a minus multiply 12. Okay, I have 2 numbers, subtract 18a, that'd be a negative 24 then. Okay, now I'm trying to solve for just a. I don't want 2 a's, I just want 1 a. So what that's going to mean is I'm going to eliminate one of these. It's better to choose the smaller, whatever the smaller number is, because subtracting that I end up with a positive 12a. 4 equals negative 12. And at this point, now it's just a 2-step, real simple. Add for 24, divide for 12, and then you'll come up with the correct answer. So again, adding to eliminate 24, so you'd add 24. Second, divide to eliminate 12, divide by 12, and then you'd have your answer. I'm going to skip 4. You're not going to see something like this on a CBA. So if you can get it, awesome. I'm not going to spend the video time on it though. I'm not going to give a whole lot of time for function not a function, which does not represent a function. If it repeats, it's not a function. Repeat, repeat. So again, this means that 3 is paired with 2, 3 pairs with 2, and that 3 is paired with 6. 3 is paired with 6. That's a repeating x value, not a function. Correct answer is D. Which of the following is a function? So I'm looking for something that does not have repeating x values. So for instance, 1, 0, 0, 0. Repeating x value. 0, 1, 2. Not repeating x value. 0, 1, 2. Not repeating x value. 0, 1, 1. Repeating x value. If it helps, you can also just write the numbers out here to the side. 0, 0, 0. 0, 1, 2. You can obviously see all those are the same. That's not going to be a correct answer. For number 7, I'm just going to set up the actual calculation, and from there it's just doing the numbers. So here's your function, and there was a correction here. That's supposed to be a +2. And this is what we're being asked for. So again, what this is saying is if you took this function, and I'm going to write it all out, 16, and you inserted a 4 into the function, 68. So now if I took this function here and I put in a 4 in each of the places that there was a t, that variable was, now it's calculating. Square the 4, multiply with 16, 68 times 4, add that all together, and you'll come up with your answer from there. Moving on to 8. Pretty straightforward. You're asked for range. It's going to be it's a classic question to ask for range, and then there are domain answers. Just going to go ahead and knock those out right now. Now the only thing you'll notice is that all of these are the same except for the inequalities are different. That's the only difference here. So then really all you're wondering is at the bottom of the graph, is this supposed to be equal to or not equal to? And again, it's a filled in circle down here. Filled in circle, that's going to be equal to. So the bottom number is equal to, so that means D is going to be our correct answer. Simple piece of information. If you know it, you're good. More questions that I would have liked for number 9. Mapping below represents all the points of the graph of function f. What is the domain of f? Okay, so we know that domain is x values. There are the x values. These numbers are your answer. It's as simple as that. And it doesn't matter, the wording of the question shouldn't freak you out. Look directly at the question. What is the domain of f? Domain. Oh, domain is x. Oh, there are x's. There's my answer. Done. Number 10, this is discrete, which means that we're talking about integers, and each of your options here does have integers in it. Integers are just whole numbers. Now the important thing is the only one that's added on here with multiples of 10. So 10, there's a point. 20, there's a point. 30, there's a point. 40, there's a point. Not 35, not 36. Those are whole numbers, but it's in those increments of 10. Number 11 was probably the most difficult question on this review. I'm going to jump to the question, what is the range? Okay, well, if we're talking about range, I'm going to write it out. So this is what we're talking about. What's my low? What's my high? Okay, well, the least that you're going to pay is minimum $50. Okay, but then what's the highest amount that you'll pay? Equal to. So what's the highest amount you'll pay? And I'm just going to scaffold it real quick. You guys can work on it yourselves from there. All right, well, then if you're paying this much for each half hour, and it's only for 4 hours, well, let's figure out how much it's going to be. That'll tell us the maximum cost that this is going to be. So 50, that's the least. You're at least going to have to pay $50. $85 for each half hour. 4 hours is the maximum that it's going to go. So what's the most that this is going to cost? That's what we're looking at right now. Okay, well, if it's $85 for just 30 minutes, then for a whole 60 minutes, for 1 hour, how much is it going to cost? Well, that's twice as long, so it's going to cost twice as much. Double 85, and you can check the numbers in a calculator. That'd be $170 for just 1 hour. Well, for 4 hours then, we're going to have to take that 170 and multiply it with 4. Because if we're looking at the maximum time. So multiply with 4. Once you multiply with 4, you'll find out that you get $680. And that's for all 4 hours. Okay, so that 680 added on to the 50, 680 plus 50, so you're looking at $730 equal to. So there we go, just kind of scaffolding it for you. That's a difficult question. I understand if you're not really there with it, all right? The only thing I'm going to talk about here is a 0. You get that information from your x-intercept. There's your x-intercept, 4, 0. So then your 0 is going to be 4. And also the axis of symmetry, that's where the graph is cut in half. It's always going to be x equals something. Here it's x equals 4. All right, that's it. Good luck with the test tomorrow, guys.